Today I'm following a nutrition plan that has come from one of the most recognizable female fitness coaches in Australia. Now this plan was given to me by said coach in 2013 when I went to see her for a session. It was literally a copy paste job into my iPhone notes and I still had the note to this day. So I'll pop that on the screen as well. Now this plan has shaped how so many women believed that they needed to eat to stay lean. So this morning I have trained, I had no food before my session. So this is gonna be my first meal of the day. And first up we have rye bread, egg whites, and green tea. What a combo. The green tea is honestly such a throwback. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe this one. I'm only just starting out, so all of your support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so I've got my eggs. And then I actually forgot to get rye bread. So just gonna use some white bread, which I had in the freezer, just lucky. Still gonna cook this in a little bit of oil. I will also be tracking everything. The plan obviously doesn't have like amounts in it, but I'm going to go with the amounts that I would assume and kind of just eyeball it a little bit from what you kind of used to see back then. So starting out, we have 7 mils of oil. Big spender here. All right, we're gonna separate the eggs. I'm gonna save the yolks to my dogs. Okay, so I'm just gonna do them scrambled. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of a whisk. All right, here we go. Now bread, I'm just gonna pop 1 piece in. I cannot imagine in 2013 we would have been having 2 whole pieces of bread. I'm also gonna be choosing the biggest piece of bread. Biggest slice, I should say. So pretty much cooked. I'm gonna turn that off. Oh, I almost have PTSD just from smelling this. Yeah, I should have noted that I also followed this back in the day. Maybe I'll pop on the screen some of the meals that I created because I also had some photos of them which were hilarious. All right, we'll just let that have a little sit. Toast is going. I wonder if I can put butter on my toast. Maybe I'll just put like a teeny tiny bit of butter on there. I low-key have an egg ick, so hence why this is even more kind of gross for me. If I was to make eggs, I'd be making scrambled eggs with obviously the yolks in them and also cheese. Cheese and some butter. I'm just gonna say this is like 3 grams because this isn't fucking working. Yeah, very thin slither of butter on here. My eggs on. So 2 egg whites we had. Green tea, gone with a lemon number just to give it a little bit extra. Okay, so here we have it. This is the 2 egg whites on a piece of toast with a little bit of butter and our green tea. So breakfast is looking very unappealing, to be honest with you. I'm gonna have to put some seasoning on this. Okay, first taste test. Actually not that bad. However, I do believe that's because I've added the butter and also the seasonings on top. So could be worse. However, I know this is not going to fill me up. So see where we're at by the end of it. Okay, egg whites and toast gone. Now getting into my green tea. I think it's a little bit hot. That takes me back. I used to be a green tea fiend. It's pretty fucking underwhelming though, and I definitely wish that it was a coffee. I haven't had a coffee today. Might have to have one later. It might just be a black coffee or something lame. But either way, I'm definitely still hungry. Wish there was some more of that, but here we are. Okay, we are on to our second meal of the day, which is just a snack. Now, it says on the plan blueberries or goji berries. And you know what? I don't have either. Instead, I have chopped up some strawberries and I've also just added in some little bits of frozen mango. Now with that, which is not on the plan, is a black coffee because I'm gonna fall asleep otherwise, okay? I have shit to do. I'm not a massive coffee fan in terms of the taste. I've definitely come around to it in the last few years, but I usually have my coffee with milk. It's usually an almond cappuccino, and this is, I'm pretty sure it's gonna taste like dirt water, so here we are. Yeah, look, It's not bad. It's not that enjoyable though. I don't know how people do this all the time. I'm going to eat my fruit and keep chipping away at my day. Okay, it's time for lunch, and honestly, thank God, because I am starving. So hungry. So it says on there, tuna salad with like baby spinach, cucumber. I can't remember what else was on the list in all honesty. But the one thing that really stuck out to me was the no feta. Those that know me know that I love cheese. And if I'm making any form of salad, like, of course, I'm going to be adding in some form of cheese and also a fucking carb. Is that too much to ask? We're starting out with a just salad mix. I didn't have spinach, so here we are. I'm going to get a lot in there. Okay, veggie-wise, I don't like cucumber, so I was not about to put that in. I've just gone with some carrot and capsicum. So about half a carrot and, I don't know, a third of a capsicum. Again, I'm trying to like envision what the portions would have been like back in 2013. And next I have a can of tuna. I've gone with dried tomato and basil. So we'll be throwing that in there. Again, if I was eating this in real life, well, but yeah, if I was eating this in 2026, I would probably be having 2 cans of tuna, or at least a big can of tuna. And I'd also be adding some form of carb, some form of fat as well. So that would be the cheese in the mix. So tuna is in. Next, I'm just going to add some balsamic. I'm pretty sure this was allowed in 2013. So getting some of that in there. Okay. And here she is, the final product. And yeah, I'm just going to eat it out of this bowl. I really just dislike when you can't like mix it nicely in a bowl. So we're going with a big bowl, and also less dishes if I just use this one. So anyway, I'll report back soon. I know my next snack after this is almonds. Very generous. But yeah, I would imagine that I'm going to be hungry in like another hour. Okay, I'm on to my second snack for the day, which is almonds. That was the only option on said plan, so I thought I'd actually stick to it this time. And I'll tell you what, I think I regret not getting like almonds with any flavor on them. These are just natural plain almonds. This is all Audi had actually, so I think this is going to be pretty bland and boring. Yeah, not great. There's about 170 calories in this, so I just went by like a small-ish handful. Also that happened to be literally what a serving size was on the packet, so I was like, I'll go with that. That's fine. But before I started consuming this, so I'd eaten breakfast, a snack, and my lunch. My total for the day was only sitting at 435 calories. What the fuck? That's almost smaller than like a main meal for me. Like my lunch and dinner is usually over that. Breakfast is probably around that mark. Sometimes though, even more protein, but honestly, just crazy. Why did we used to do this to ourselves? I do not feel good right now. I jokingly said before, I feel like I'm losing muscle mass by the second. So yeah, joking, but also not really. I'm really interested to see where I'm at by the end of the day. But also with this snack, I'm going a little bit off plan. And you know what? I'm having a sugar-free energy drink. I'm sorry. I'll track it. It's only 8 calories, so I don't think energy drinks were as big of a thing back then, but I feel like if they were, it would be allowed because there's fuck all calories in this. Anyway, there's my 3 p.m. update. But we are showered, done for the day, and I'll tell you what, I am hungry. So I'm making my last meal for the day because there's no dessert listed on this thing. So anyway, I'm just cooking some broccolini, which is honestly probably done. Potatoes and we've got pumpkin in there. A little bit more oil. So on the plan it had like chicken or fish. I just smashed the packet open, but got some barramundi fillets, which a little bit of an oversight because I forgot that I was making the tuna salad for lunch. So I mean, I've had seafood twice today, but that's all right. You live and you learn. And now I'm going to cook both pieces of this, which reminds me, how fucking long, I don't even know how long to cook this for. Okay, preheat pan. Well, I might have to turn that down a notch. That's quite hot. Okay. I'm cooking both pieces, but I'll only use one. I have also been smashing this seasoning today. Ming will use me on everything. If you don't have this, you need it on there. Because you know what? Apparently we're using it on everything. And pepper and a little bit of chili. Some stats so far today. 2 brain cells left. Some alarming stats. Total calories, 1,280. So to put this into perspective, that is literally half the amount that I would eat in a given day. So I'm running on 50% fuel at the moment, which is why I am one minor inconvenience away from an entire meltdown. Keep in mind though, I haven't eaten this yet. So there's still time for redemption. But either way, there's no dessert at the end of this, and that's just boring. Anyway, that's about half of what I would typically eat. Let's keep in mind, I'm 29, I am 157 centimeters tall, and I fluctuate between about 58 to 59 kilos. I'm also an individual with a higher amount of muscle mass, so I've built my maintenance up over the years. That aside, keep in mind, I'm quite a small human being, and this is nowhere near enough food. So yeah, this is the equivalent of literally a toddler's daily intake. So let's get into the macros. So we're at 70 grams of protein. I feel like that's actually not terrible for the amount of food that I have consumed. Still not enough protein. 88 grams of carbs. Let's compare this also to my stats. I usually consume about 150 grams of protein, so this is less than half. Carbs, I usually consume about 270 grams of protein. This is fucking way under that. Fat-wise, I'm at 73 grams, whereas typically I'd have somewhere around the lines of 90-ish, 80 to 90. But that's mostly coming from the nuts that I've consumed and the oil that I've added to what I have put in here today. Some pretty cooked numbers. Why did we ever do this? Why did we ever think this is enough food? But you know what? It's because we did it for so long, we literally just adapted to it. And this is also why, if you are someone that wants to lean out and build muscle, if you are already undereating, continue to undereat, the detrimental effects that would have. Essentially, we're not going to be able to build muscle for one. We need to come back to a maintenance phase. Why so many of you that have been undereating for years and then think, oh, well, the answer for me to lose more weight, for me to lean out that little bit more, is to continue to eat less. No. Oh, there's my timer. This. Ow, that's got me. So this is why, over time, if you've eaten less and less and less, your body has adapted to that. Your metabolism has adapted to that. So then continuing to eat less is not going to work, which is why so many of my clients, I find I need to run an intentional maintenance phase when they start, so we can build that maintenance back up to then actually have something to cut down from. And what we often see in this maintenance phase is, yes, we may see the scales go up, but 9 times out of 10, we actually see the measurements go down. They're actually able to then see true body recomp change because they've built some muscle, and as a knock-on effect of that, then they've actually started to lean out. And once we get to that point of maintenance where numbers are pretty steady, so body weight is holding pretty strong and measurements are holding pretty strong, then if they still want to lean out more, that's when we can go into a deficit phase. Getting my plate together. Okay, this is my final plate and meal of the day. I'll give you a little bit of a up-close taste test. This is probably the largest meal I've had all day. Look at the most substance. There's still not enough here for me. I'd still rather see some further carbs introduced, and fat-wise, we're probably sitting all right. But yeah, mostly just some carbs in this. But taste-wise, look, not too bad, considering that really all I've used on things is just oil and some seasoning. There's no additional sauces or anything in the mix. So if your day of eating still looks similar to this, you need to increase it, especially if your goal is to lean out a little bit more. You need to build muscle in order to lean out. It's also
no wonder when we have repeated days of eating like this that we get to the end of the day and we're, super snacky. And that's when we're more likely to, binge on whatever chocolate or whatever sweet is in the house, because we've deprived ourselves all day of these delicious, lovely things and we haven't consumed enough overall. Okay, I definitely feel better now that I've eaten a little bit more food. But before, I was really starting to lose it. And I think overall today, I found a massive difference in my gym session. Like, yes, the session was really a little bit harder than it usually is. I went along to a group class this morning. However, it was the first time in, I could not even tell you how long, that I went to the gym without having any food or caffeine. And I think that definitely made a big difference. And then throughout the day, concentration wise, I had a fair bit of work to do. I chose a day where I don't have a lot of physical output. But yeah, I definitely found that concentrating, doing work was definitely not as good as it could have been. Still got the job done, but again, having repeated days of this would only compound and make that feel worse over time. Anyway, while I have survived this day, do not use that as a reason to eat like this, because I'll tell you what, it was not fun and I'm feeling pretty tired overall. And again, I think that is also why. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed coming along today, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I've only just started this channel, so all of your support would be greatly appreciated.